A little while ago, I received a great question from one of my supporters over on Patreon. What can we be taught regarding the entertainment we engage in while following the Buddha's path? This supporter of mine was referring to a real tension at the heart of Buddhist practice. On the one hand, the Buddha advised monastics against entertainment, like music and dancing, and warned us against livelihoods like acting that could stir up defilements in ourselves and others. But on the other hand, the Buddha also advised laypeople to use their wealth to bring happiness to themselves and others. So, which is it? Is entertainment a dangerous distraction, or instead a skillful part of a well-lived life? In this video, we're going to try to untangle this tangle by first looking at the crucial distinction between the monastic and lay paths. Then we'll try to develop a practical framework from the early texts that we, as lay people, can use to engage with entertainment wisely. The monastic path fully embraces the Buddha's recommendation to make renunciation one of our key intentions. We may recall that renunciation is one of the 3 parts of right intention in the Eightfold Path. The monastic is essentially what we might call a full-time or a professional practitioner. For the Buddha, they're supposed to be dedicating themselves completely to the path of practice. As such, one of the key goals of the monastic is the complete renunciation of all sensory attachments. Key to that kind of practice is not to seek out sense pleasures, or what we might term entertainments. Entertainment is a direct impediment to the renunciation of these sensory attachments. That is to say, it tends to stir up sense desires that the monastic is trying to calm. In one early sutta, the Buddha chastises the monastic Aritta for claiming that he could engage in these kinds of sense pleasures without any attachment towards them. Now, by contrast, the layperson's path is not one of total renunciation, otherwise they'd become monastics. But instead, the layperson's path is something more like about skillful engagement with the world. The layperson's goal is to navigate life's pleasures and pains with wisdom, trying to reduce their harm and cultivate a good mind within the context of a worldly life. In many suttas, the Buddha gives particular advice to householders. For example, in one early sutta, the Buddha talks about reasons that one should become wealthy. The Buddha lists several reasons, including that it would provide security for ourselves and our family, that it would allow us to pay taxes and give donations to the rulers, and that if we were wealthy, we could use that wealth to support worldly causes. But crucially, the very first reason that the Buddha gives for becoming wealthy is to make ourselves, our family, our friends and workers happy. That is, the Buddha counsels laypeople to enjoy their wealth. The wise layperson pursues a kind of middle path of enjoyment. They provide for their needs and do not squander their wealth, but they also don't hoard it. They make use of their wealth skillfully for pleasing themselves and others, as well as for doing good deeds of charity. The Buddha was critical both of the person who hoards their wealth without making use of it for their own or others' skillful enjoyment, and he was critical of the person who squanders their wealth foolishly. Entertainment, subject of today's video, is perhaps the main thing that arises within this category of skillful enjoyment, It's a way to experience happiness and share that happiness with others, provided that it's done properly and in a balanced way. When considering what's truly skillful enjoyment or entertainment might look like for the Buddha, I don't think it's helpful to think in terms of modern concepts like approved or banned media. The Buddha certainly never spoke in these kinds of terms. Instead, the Buddha's approach suggests a set of powerful questions that we might ask ourselves in order to determine if a particular kind of entertainment is truly skillful. We should ask ourselves, first, what is the intention behind this entertainment? Before we engage in it, or while we are engaging in it, or if we forget about that, as we're often prone to do, then at least afterwards, we should check our motivation. Are we pursuing this kind of entertainment to relax after a long day, to connect with friends or family, or to appreciate, let's say, the subtleties of a work of art? If so, these are likely going to be relatively skillful intentions, the kind of thing the Buddha was pointing to for the layperson to engage in. On the other hand, are you turning towards this kind of entertainment to numb yourself, to avoid confronting difficult emotions, or to feed a kind of addictive desire? These, on the other hand, are signs of unskillful engagement. We should also ask ourselves, what is the effect of this entertainment on my mind? This is perhaps the most crucial acid test. Again, one we can reflect upon before, during, or after we engage in this particular kind of entertainment. Namely, does this entertainment that we're engaging in tend to increase or decrease the three fires of greed, hatred, and delusion in our minds? For greed, does the entertainment fuel intense craving in us, envy, or a constant sense of dissatisfaction with our lives? Does it provoke us towards the comparing mind so that we start comparing ourselves to others? We can think here, let's say, to take one salient example, something like the show, if any of us remember this show from, I think it was the 1980s or 90s, called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. For some of us, this show, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, might make us feel deep resentment for the lifestyles of these people that's outside of our ability to attain. However, for others of us, this kind of show is just going to be popcorn entertainment. We're going to be looking at these lives and thinking, who the hell would want to live like that? It's awful. When it comes to hatred, does this entertainment glorify realistic violence, promote cruelty towards one another, dehumanize people, or stoke in us anger and outrage? I think many of the most famous gangster movies can be seen in this light. But again, it depends where we're coming from. For some people, these movies have indeed proven actual inspiration for the gangster lifestyle. For other people, they're clearly morality tales for how we're not supposed to live. And when it comes to delusion, does the entertainment that we're engaging in promote falsehoods, encourage heedlessness, or offer us a view of the world that's disconnected from reality and the true consequences of our actions? One famous news empire makes a great living for its billionaire owner simply by promoting these kinds of falsehoods, as well as by stoking outrage and dehumanizing other people. Indeed, much of our social media is funded by groups like these and owners like these, and many people consume their content as a kind of entertainment addiction. We should ask ourselves, does this entertainment play a balanced role in my life? Reflect on the role that entertainment in general, and that each kind of entertainment in particular, plays for you. Is it a source of true rejuvenation after a long, hard day? Or is it consuming time, money, and energy in us, causing us to neglect our work, our relationships, or our practice? If it's the latter, it may help to reflect that the Buddha's is a middle path between extremes. And maybe this entertainment that we're engaging in is not so skillful for us after all. I noticed this in my own past when playing computer games. I loved playing computer games. I had to admit that they'd become a huge time sink in my life, that they were addictive in their own way for me, and ultimately that they'd become a source of stress for me rather than relaxation after a long day. The Buddhist approach to entertainment is not about rigid prohibitions. For lay people, it's going to be a practice of wisdom and moderation. It's about distinguishing between wholesome and unwholesome consumption, always with the point in mind that what's wholesome for one person may not be for another. The core insight here is that we should use entertainment as a tool for skillful happiness, relaxation, and connection with other people, rather than allowing it to become a source of craving, aversion, and delusion. Ultimately, the Buddha encourages us to become our own refuge, using our practice as our refuge. So the Buddhist framework isn't a list of rules so much as it is a practice of growing self-awareness. The next time you sit down to watch a show or listen to music, the whole practice comes down to one simple question that you can ask yourself. What am I feeding my mind right now? Is it leading me towards peace or towards suffering? This question of skillful engagement is directly related to how we earn our living. For a deeper dive on that critical topic, I would recommend my earlier video on right livelihood, which is right up here on the screen. If you're getting something out of these videos of mine, a like is always welcome, and to subscribe to the channel if you want to potentially hear about more of these. We'll catch you on the next video, and meanwhile, all of you, be well.